Welcome to Security Weekly News Wrap-Up for the week of 23 August 2021. Hacking accounts in social networks, rushed exits, and OnlyFans, and all of the show wrap-ups on this edition of the Security Weekly News Wrap-Up Show.
This is Security Weekly, for security professionals, by security professionals.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
It's the show that keeps you up to date on the latest security news twice a week. Your trusted source for accurate security information and expert analysis. It's time for Security Weekly News. The complexity of cloud infrastructure means every organization's security challenges are unique. Whether your challenge is threat hunting, policy management, cloud workload protection, or all of the above, Uptycs helps you quickly identify and eliminate observability gaps in your security programs. Uptycs, analytics for the modern attack surface, observability for the modern defender. That's Uptycs, UPTYCS. Check them out at securityweekly.com/Uptycs for a free trial. Every 11 seconds, there's a new ransomware attack. Oil pipelines, universities, corporations, all paying millions of dollars. Barracuda says, don't pay the ransom. Before a ransomware attack occurs, train your teams to recognize an attack and use anti-phishing technology. Protect your applications and they can't get onto your network. Simple backup and restore solutions quickly recover your data without paying the ransom. Build your ransomware protection plan now by visiting securityweekly.com/Barracuda. That's securityweekly.com/Barracuda.
From Restricted Access Limited, your host, and welcome to the Security Weekly News Wrap-Up Show. First off, let's wrap up to the show topics of the week. And I'll just tell you that I was bopping along to the music there, and Johnny got to see that. I'm sorry, Johnny. Okay, on Application Security Weekly number 163, John and Mike and Shubhra, the Global CTO and GM of Products and IT at the Linux Foundation. Shubhra was on to talk about creating robust and secure software in the open source upstream community. They also went on to talk about the Linux Foundation further. I actually listened to this show while I was out walking my dog. It was very, very interesting. My main takeaway from it was, from the whole show, was that possibly we should move on from languages like C, or at least when junior people are using them, they should use them correctly. I would say learn to code better, guys, but let's learn to code smarter. And I think, if I remember correctly, Shubhra did say about code commits. So when you're committing your code, please sort of address it to maybe an email address or something like that. That would be great. Okay, on Business Security Weekly number 229, Adrian, Lee, and Matt welcomed Ben Carr. He's the CISO at Qualys, and Ben was on to share his opinions about the evolving role of the CISO. In particular, looking at risk and how CISOs need to understand risk. They also talked about the different types of CISOs. This drives me insane, different types of CISOs. But anyway, and how the CISOs need to align with the direction and focus on the company and the company needs. I must go over and listen to that one because the thoughts will be pretty interesting. But anyway, it appears the CISO is an ever-changing role, and we expect all of you CISOs with spare time to keep up. Pip, pip. Okay, in the second segment of BSW, there was 10 years later, software really did eat the world. That's the second in a series. They also talked to them about CISO's 15 strategic priorities for 2021, 7 steps to protect against ransomware, related lawsuits, and other stories. Very interesting show, that one. Pulls up a lot of hot topics. And it makes me think. It's like, do you really want to be a CISO? Is that the top of your job tree? Or do you just really want to be good at cyber and keep your hands on the keyboard? But that's question for a talk, maybe. Okay, on Enterprise Security Weekly 240, Adrian Paul and Tyler Shields had Kelly Shortridge, the Senior Principal Product Technology at Fastly on the show. Kelly was talking about Decidius, an app Kelly and Ryan Petrich built that simplifies the process of creating decision trees for security. Decidious, get it? Anyway, decision trees are used for the threat modeling and prioritizing mitigations using behavioral game theory principles. I wrote it and I couldn't read it. Okay, a very interesting topic there. In the second segment of ESW, Deb Radcliffe, the strategic analyst and author at Cyber Risk Alliance, joined the show. Deb was on to talk about a thriller series they wrote about evil Globecom, which takes over the world through chip implants in people and hackers who try to take them down. Deb is currently finishing up the second book in the series. You can get these at Amazon. I myself will be getting them for my dog walks on, I suppose, an audio type reading affair. Anyway, it sounds to me like it was wrote by a certain Elon, but that is my opinion alone and not the opinion of my employers, as they say. Okay. On Security and Compliance Weekly number 84, Jeff, Kat Valentine, and Scott had on Tim Callahan, the Senior Vice President and Global CISO at Affleck. Now, there sounds like a busy man. Okay, they were talking about how compliance is not really enough to protect your company, evolving. My show notes have gone really slow. They'll treat me for having a really expensive laptop. Anyway, from the threat landscape, they were talking about how compliance interacts with security, maturity, defensibility, and resiliency. Okay, I back this fully. So while ticking these compliance boxes, please think about what you're not covering. I do believe recently, is the name Audio scripts. Anyway, they do really, really good mapping across the compliance domains. Okay, on Security Weekly News number 145, obviously my favorite show, Jason Wood, who is still afraid of ducks, I must tell you, talked about the Poly network theft of 600 million in crypto wallets. Okay. And how they paid the hacker. Paid the hacker? It's like a hacker, you're paying the hacker. This sounds like Uber all over again, but with much, much bigger numbers. Anyway, they paid the hacker $500,000 to return whatever it appears like they felt like they wanted to give back. In my opinion, probably after looking at how anonymous the wallets are that they stole it from. Anyway, we move on. All this was because the hacker claimed to be only stealing for altruistic reasons. Well, that makes it okay then. Here we go. On to Paul Security Weekly, number 708, which was on last night. Is always a great show, great guests. First up, Paul talked about OpenVAS, which kind of sounds like maybe Paul is not planning for any more kids in some kind of do-it-yourself scary home medical stuff. That sounds like it was wrote by Dr. Doug, because it was. But seriously, OpenVAS is an open source vulnerability scanner, and we were able to gain insights into the OpenVAS project, why you might want to use it, and some of the best implementations. The segment included the extended setup by compiling OpenVAS and all the components from source code. You lucky people, the show notes have technical segment slides, including all commands to compile OpenVAS on Ubuntu 20.4. Okay, in the second segment on PSW, Paul Wardle, a creator at Objective-C, was on to talk about Apple's new M1 system. He explained how Apple's new M1 system offers a myriad of benefits for both Mac OS users and, unfortunately, to malware authors as well. In this talk, Patrick details the first malicious programs compiled to natively target Apple Silicon M1 ARM64, focusing on methods of analysis. Okay, on to the third segment of PSW, which was the news. And this is where my mouth gets contorted and it gets difficult to speak. So Paul talked about homomorphic encryption. He stated that the use cases for fully homomorphic encryption are interesting, but also the limiting factors, as many different data types and processes will actually need to read your data. Therefore, you should still care about privacy. Yes, always care about privacy. Okay, it goes on to talk about preventative medicine. Imagine knowing in advance what you need to do to stay healthy throughout your life. This is increasingly possible with AI, but requires sharing all of your health data, everything from your DNA to your medical history to your lifestyle habits. Oh, wouldn't we like to know each other's lifestyle habits? Anyway, with fully homomorphic encryption, you could send all of this data in encrypted form and the AI would respond with health recommendations that you alone could see. Goes on about facial recognition, from science fiction to the palm of your hand. Facial recognition is now a part of our everyday experience. We use facial recognition to enter buildings, to unlock our phones, to tag people in pictures, and soon to even log into websites everywhere. Okay, the problem is here, requires a biometric fingerprint to be on file. And passwords can be changed. Can your biometric fingerprint be changed? I guess not, unless you're on the film Face Off. Anyway, so this can be used in the wrong hands to impersonate you. But lucky enough, with fully homomorphic encryption, you could authenticate yourself securely without anybody being able to steal this biometric data. Right, I'm just going to move past all this because I don't want to say fully homomorphic encryption again. But it definitely looks like this could be the future, and if we can look at biometrics, if we can look at this really sound encryption and anything to make it safer on the internet. Okay, after this, Larry started a discussion on Razorbug. I love this stuff because this is the type of stuff that got me into cyber. Razorbug lets you become a Windows 10 admin by plugging in a mouse. When the Razer Synapses software is installed, the setup wizard allows you to specify the folder where you wish to install it. The ability to select your installation folder is where everything goes wrong. When you change the location of your folder, a choose a folder dialog box will appear. If you then press Shift and right click on the dialog, you will be prompted to open PowerShell window here. That's not good, is it? Which will open a partial prompt in the folder shown in the dialog. Paul talked about how he's seen on Twitter a theory that you could do this with a programmable USB, like a rubber ducky. Completely the stuff that got me into hacking and cyber infosec. But Paul included the link nicely to that tweet in the PSW show notes. Okay, from there, Paul went on to start a discussion about a new variant of Prism backdoor water drop targets Linux systems. The threat actor behind this variant has managed to maintain a 0 or almost 0 detection score in virus totals for its samples and domains. I can hear Larry shouting here if he's listening, but we'll go on. This is most likely due to their campaigns being fairly small inside. The waterdropx.com domain was registered to the current owner on August 18, 2017, and as of August 10, it was still online. They went on to say that they had conducted further investigation of the samples and discovered that several campaigns using these malicious executables have managed to remain active and under the radar for more than 3.5 years. I wonder how long nation states manage to stay under the radar. But anyway, the oldest samples of Alien Lads can attribute to one of the actors' date from 8th November 2017. That's HTTP, and it's using a specific user agent. Yeah, and you'd think it would all be easily detected, but as Larry will remind us as well, we are all aware how easy it is to change a hash on a piece of malware. Okay, it was definitely a fast news week, as Paul had 28 stories to talk about on the show. So head over and watch the show or look up PSW show notes and you'll find all the stories there. Okay, your final segment, the new news. And that makes you smile. I don't know why. Anyway, security researchers have discovered another critical bug in IoT security cameras systems. It's like this will never stop. Okay, that could allow attackers to hijack devices. Nozomi Networks found code execution vulnerability CVE 2021-32941 for those with them people that can remember lots of things in the web service of the Anki N48 PBB network video recorder NVR, which is used by consumers and businesses. Okay, NVRs are an important part of any connected security camera system in that they are designed to capture, store, and manage incoming video feeds from IP cameras. If exploited, the vulnerability could cause a stack-based buffer overflow, allowing an unauthenticated remote attacker to access sensitive information and execute code. According to the ICS advisory from the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, Nozomi Networks said this could lead to a loss of confidentiality, integrity, and device availability. Maybe they've just recently done their CISP. Okay, in practice, this means enabling attackers to snoop on or delete footage, change the configuration of the motion detector alarms, or halt recordings altogether. As such, a cyber attack exploiting this exploit could be used to support physical robberies of premises protected by Anki devices. Maybe rather than physical robberies, they want to get into the theft of cryptocurrencies, because that definitely seems to pay. Anyway, the bug itself could be exploited directly by the attackers to elevate privileges on the system and indirectly in drive-by download attacks. They sound so sinister. Anyway, it is sufficient for an administrator, operator, or user to browse a specifically crafted web page while simultaneously logged into the web interface of the device to potentially cause the execution of external malicious code on the device itself, warned Nozomi. Fortunately, Anki reacted quickly. firmware patches. At least they have firmware that can patch, but what I do worry about is whether anybody or most people or enough people go out and actually patch that. Patch. Okay, that was a responsible disclosure. So, Ragnarok ransomware releases master decryptor after shutdown. Ragnarok ransomware gang appears to have called it quits and released the master key that can decrypt files locked with their malware. The threat actor did not leave a note explaining the move and all of a sudden replaced all the victims on their leaked site with a short instruction on how to decrypt files. What a rushed exit. The leaked site has been stripped of visual elements, and that is left on the site is the brief text linking an archive containing the master key and the accompanying binaries for using it. Okay. So the Ragnarok ransomware leak site had showed 12 victims at it between July 7 and August 16. Threat intelligence provider Hack Notice told Bleeping Computer. By listing victims on their website, Ragnarok sought to force them into paying the ransom. It's a difficult one, that one, because I do wonder often whether the ones that don't come out and the ones that aren't released are the ones that pay the ransom, and the ones that get into the media possibly aren't. But anyway, under the threat of leaking unencrypted files stolen during the intrusion. And we have seen this a lot recently, where not only will they encrypt your files, they will actually talk about plastering your files all over the internet. And as we know, at places like Sony, that didn't work out very well. The listed companies are from France, Estonia, Sri Lanka, Turkey, Thailand, US, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Spain, and Italy. We hope someone's listening from all them countries. Okay, so there's a ransomware expert called Michael Gillespie, and he told Bleeping Computer that the Ragnarok Decryptor released today contains the master decryption key. He later confirmed that he was able to decrypt a random file, which makes use of the utility a master decryptor. On and on and on. It works. It looks like it works. It still works. The Ragnarok ransomware group has been around since at least January 2020. Another bad thing to come out of 2020, and claimed dozens of victims after making headlines for exploiting the Citrix ADC vulnerability last year. Woo! Okay, will they come back under a new name? I don't know. Maybe the temperature was getting too hot. Only time will tell if we will see them again. Everybody's favorite subject, social networks. When will we ever get off these things? Anyway, experts have revealed the cost of hacking accounts in social networks. The most popular social networks and messengers for hacking attempts: VK, Instagram, Telegram, and WhatsApp. I know that there's a lot of big names, and it's definitely applications that certainly, if I'm not using now, I have used in the past. So these hacks, the price can vary between $10 to $2,300, and that was in a study conducted by Bizone. So they analyzed it. They looked at it over months. They also looked at whether sellers were just scamming people. And they go on about real hackers set their prices based on the time spent. Sometimes they can search for a password in a leak. We all know about this. We all know about password spraying. And that significantly reduced the price, obviously, because it was a lot easier for the hacker. Time is money. Time is money. Okay. if there's an insider attacker from the developer company, this is where the high prices come from, and normally comes from criminality. Evgeny Volution, sorry for the pronunciation there, I kind of destroyed it. Anyway, you're the director of Bizone and you're the expert. Thank you for that analysis. So apparently a hack on VK is from 10 to 160, and it's very popular to be hacked. Apparently Instagram remains in second place and $540. That seems very cheap to hack Instagram. And then Messengers, Telegram, and WhatsApp hacking offers are leading in popularity. For violating the privacy of these applications, scammers charge from $410 to $2,300. So, and then $270 to $1,770 for hacking a personal mailbox, according to analysts. This is all very, very cheap. This is not very much money when you think sort of the FBI paying $1 million to get into an iPhone and stuff like that. So anyway, I'll try the name better this time. Volution recommends using long passwords, password managers, and a two-factor authentication system to avoid hacking personal accounts. Also, in his opinion, it is important not to store data in cloud services and not to send it in messengers connecting to an unknown Wi-Fi source. Yeah, that definitely sounds like a VPN would be required there. I totally back this up. I'll go blue in the face saying it. We can talk about password managers, but everybody get their MFA thingy turned on. Okay, and finally, OnlyFans drops planned porn ban and will continue to allow sexually explicit content. I can hear the relief from listening to Dr. Doug earlier in the week with him protesting too much. He may be part of the relief sound that I just heard. But anyway, OnlyFans dropped plans to ban pornography from its service less than a week after the UK content creator subscription site had announced the change, citing the need to comply with policies of banking partners. On Wednesday, the company said it had secured assurances necessary to support our diverse creator community, suggesting that it has new agreements with banks to pay OnlyFans content creators, including those who share sexually explicit material. Okay, it comes from the company. Thank you to everyone for making your voices heard. We have secured assurances necessary to support our diverse creator community and have suspended the planned October 1st policy change. Okay, they go on to say, OnlyFans stands for inclusion, and we will continue to provide a home for all creators. Okay. An OnlyFans spokesperson declined to say which bank or banks it has new or renewed payment processing agreements with. I don't imagine that information would be very hard to find. The proposed October 1st, 21 changes are no longer required due to banking partners getting into the 21st century. Banking partners' assurances that OnlyFans can support all genres of creators. So was it a much ado about nothing? OnlyFans have been able to resolve its conflict with the banks, some of which who had refused to do business with the site, by going public with the issue. I guess that site is all about going public with issues and publicizing the large amount of money that flows through the site on an order and magnitude of $300 million in payouts per month. That's quite a chunk of change. Okay. OnlyFans founder and CEO Tim Stokely put the blame for the porn ban on banks in an interview with the Financial Times. Highbrow stuff for the Financial Times. So big names here saying that banks including JP Morgan Chase, Bank of New York Mellon and the UK's Metro Bank had cut off OnlyFans' ability to pay creators. Maybe they do not want part of that $300 million a month. They must be making enough money elsewhere. Anyway, the furious backlash among OnlyFans creators also certainly pushed the company to quickly resolve the problem. OnlyFans' decision to ban porn had infuriated sex workers who have relied on the site to support themselves. I guess definitely during the pandemic when sex work in person would be made rather difficult with a 1 or 2 meter rule. But anyway, in frustration, some adult creators had already nixed their OnlyFans pages and moved to alternate platforms. I imagine they'll come back. Anyway, founded in 2016, the site claims to have more than 130 million registered users and 2 million creators, while OnlyFans grew in popularity largely based on its porn-friendly policy. We must announce that they have gone on to launch a sort of a streaming app that excludes sexually explicit content. Wow. Okay. So it is true, money makes the world go round. It certainly makes the porn world go round. And when you get a load of content providers together, they are a site which moves even bankers to submit. I'm sorry that I put the image of bankers submitting into your mind. And that is the news wrap up for the week of 23 August 21. I'm going to reiterate this from Dr. Doug earlier in the week, as I feel it is the most important piece of advice I have heard about this week. I'm not going to try and do Dr. Doug's voice there. I nearly was, and that would have been a mistake. In the renewed time of plague, go get your vaccine and patch your servers. Good day, one and all. Thank you, thank you, thank you.